Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I am the Figure Dude, and on today's first ever Work in Progress Wednesday, I'm going to go through a couple, or more than a couple. I'm going to make it a big one. So I've got a bunch of customs I am working on. I've got some parts to swap around, but I am going to swap those around, get my figures ready, and then just show you show you the process I go through when I'm making customs. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures, dude. Welcome back. Like I said, this is my first episode of Work in Progress Wednesday. So what I'm going to do is walk you guys through what the changes that I'm going to make on some of my customs, and some of them are just going to be simple things. So I've got a couple I just want to swap out their hands to give them interchangeable hands, and other ones are going to be a little more in-depth. So I'm going to have a bunch of swapping, a bunch of moving around parts to kind of get what I want. And some of these, after I swap them, they'll be done. They'll just go back on the shelf. And others I'll have to paint. I'll have some decals, but they'll just make a future appearance on Work in Progress Wednesday, so you guys can see how things have been going. So first off, I'll start with the simple ones. So I've got, and I think I've swapped some of these already. So I will be swapping around the hands. I'm going to take the hands off these so they can have the interchangeables. I don't even remember the original parts. I know that I moved, I think those both started out as just the new Legends, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, that came out, and I moved those pieces around to fit my liking a little bit more. Here we go. This one, whoopsie, this one's not glued together, it's falling apart. And looking at the real deal now, I'm making a singles version of D'Lo Brown, and with this, all I have to do, I'm going to swap out these boots for plain black ones, and then eventually I'll have to get rid of the pattern here, and then I got to paint these wrists blue, I think, but that'll be further down the road. Today we're just swapping around parts. This one right here, I'm really excited for this one. This is going to be Eddie Guerrero from when he jumped over to WWE with the Radicals. So I've got the bigger arms on him. I'm going to have to paint the upper legs all black, and then I've got some decals for him. I will be swapping off these boots. These boots are going to go on to D'Lo. And then after I swap these, I'm going to put on these Alberto Del Rio boots. I will get rid of, there we go. I'll get rid of the ARs, but during this time we had this, like, Eddie's boots looked like this, where they had like the gold outlines. He didn't have his like Latino Heat boots. Then, so these ones are fun right here. I have two Marc Mero customs that I'm working on. I'm working on when he had his boxer sort of gimmick when he was with Sable. So I'm going to swap out the knees on this one to give him the Uso knees, so we kind of have the skin showing right here. So I'm going to swap out those lower legs, and obviously his head does not match this torso. This is a Bone Cruncher's head, so I will be painting that eventually to match the torso. And then also to match this other Marc Mero. So this is also a Jack's Bone Crunchers figure. And it does look kind of goofy, but if you paint these up, the heads really, like, the scans are not bad. So I will be painting this up for Wild Man Marc Mero. That's what it was. And then here's just his other boot I gotta go grab. I didn't have it by me. But that boot will be going on him, and then got to pop these arms on too. And then here's the big one, and I might mess this up, but the end result will make sense. So I'm taking my already fixed up Shawn. So this was the Network Spotlight. I already have decals on the boots. I'm going to be giving him an ultimate torso. So he will get the ultimate torso. Here's an extra ultimate that I have. This ultimate, after I pop the torso off, is going to just take the elite torso. And then I'm going to make him more of a ruthless aggression Shawn, kind of when he started. So I'm going to get rid of the black boots. I'm going to take the boots from this custom I used to have. So these boots will go on the ultimate. And then I've got these knee pads from the basic 100 that will go on the former ultimate. Those, it's silver, but for the most part, those match the attire better. Then I have this elite, who I'm going to, for the most part, keep this intact, but I'm going to put these kick pads on the bottom. So I'm going to swap these lower kick pads, and they'll be all black, but then I'm going to paint them up to look more like his biker boots that he had then, because they kind of have that, like, part of the kick pad that sticks out. So that'll take a bit, but I'm just going to get the swap so that they are ready. And then there's a match he had with Vader where instead of this color, he had, like, see, the lower legs aren't pegged in. So he had like a gold outline around the hearts. And that is what I'm going to do with that eventually. I just got to swap the parts around. So I think I got all that right. I got a lot of swapping. I'm going to do it off camera. The way I swap parts is heating up water, and then I just put it in the microwave for 4 minutes in a bowl, throw my wrestlers in there, and then it's really easy to swap things out. So I'll do that off camera. You don't need to watch me heat up water for 4 minutes. I'll swap everything around, and then when I'm done, I'll come back. I'll show you all what I have ready to go, and then that'll be the end of my first Work in Progress Wednesday. Be right back. All right, I am back after a few swaps and everything. So let's walk through a little bit again what I said I was going to do. So this old, and this was the Lost Legends Elite at one point. I've used pieces since then. So I swapped on these old pads, these Kofi pads, because they stick out a little more. They look a little more like the boots that Shawn had back then, in like the late 90s. He had like those biker boots. So I'll have decals, I'll have paint. So there's still a lot to do with that, but you can see the starts of that. I have, all I did with the Hall and Nash was pop their hands off so that I can use the interchangeable ones on them. This is going to be Eddie Guerrero. I gave him the different boots. I gave him the black wrist tape. That's what he had then. And then he too has some paint and some decals. I have, let me put this together, these pieces. I don't have everything glued together because sometimes it's easier to paint and everything with just the smaller pieces by themselves. So this deal might fall apart. Yeah, we'll see. And it's not the exact same formula as the Elite. I just don't have the parts. There's not a lot of small arms in this color. So his arms are a little bigger than in the Elite, but he's swapped around. He's ready for, got to finish the black paint and the decals on him. But he's pretty much ready to go. His formula is at least ready to go. Then we have this, my Marc Meros. Again, this is another one that was not all the way glued. I'll throw him back together so you guys can kind of see. And then I have some painting. So for both of these Marc Meros, I have some painting in. I guess for this first one, I don't really have a lot of modifying to do. But like you can see, with this Marc Mero, I've got to fix the head. It sits a little high. Got to paint it. But for the most part, his body's done. So he had like tassels and kind of just some extra stuff, but I'll add that eventually. And then there's the other Marc Mero. And for this, I use, those are Kevin Owens shorts. And then that's a Hulk Hogan defining moment crotch piece, I think. So like it is with the Hogans, you can see it's kind of small. The torso kind of small, but I'm going to paint around it and possibly sculpt around it to give them like the higher waist, like the boxing short look. So I didn't mind there. And then, so the last thing I have is the Shawn. So I gave him these boots like I said I was going to do, and those aren't pegged down, so those also might fall off. But the ultimate torso is going to go on here, so I'm going to swap these torsos. But I wanted to do it on camera, kind of, as best as I can, and kind of show you how I crack elite torsos, or elites and ultimates, I guess. More the ultimate, because I don't think as many people do that. I've seen people do that a few different ways, but the way I do it is to just, so there's a seam. Sorry, I'm trying to focus it. Oh, there go those legs. Come on. Oh, there. Oh. Almost. Any day now. Okay. It's not going to move. You can kind of see the seam there. What I'll do is use a box cutter to crack one of the seams, and then I'll try and get my screwdriver in there and pop it, and then I'll just like slide the back of the torso out and then swap it over. I don't swap the top part. I don't crack that. I did that once and it didn't turn out well. I've seen other people do that. It just hasn't worked for me, so I'm gonna stick to what's been mostly working for me, and then I'll just move that over. I don't like to switch out the butterfly joints or crack it with the butterfly joints. I don't want those to get loose because they're not super tight to begin with. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that quick. I'll show you as I go. So I'm gonna just crack this seam. So there. Just cracked it like that. I put the box cutter in, and the box cutter itself was enough to get that separated on this side. So I popped the screwdriver in, so it's completely separated now. And then you can just work it out. So now I've got the back out, so that's ready to be swapped around. And when you first start this, make sure when you do pop stuff out, you look where it goes. It's not too hard, but if you're not paying attention, you might not know exactly how to get it back together. So then the elites are much easier. You pop a screwdriver in here, pop this, and then down here, you use the box cutter too, but these are a lot more like compact. There's less moving parts. So it's a lot easier to pop these. The old elites use like a tougher glue, so those are a little harder to crack, but like the new ones, for the most part, if you just get a screwdriver in there, the whole thing is going to pop open. So it's not terrible, and I've gone through plenty of torsos. I've had my bad days, so see, I just popped that real easy, real quick. I have definitely messed up my share of torsos. I have practiced a lot, and I'm still not perfect. Every now and then there's a tough one. Sometimes if you really like are trying to push at it and it's not going, it's best to just stop, because you can stress it out and kind of like change the color of the torso. Like it'll give stress marks. So there, pop that off. So I've got them all popped off. I'm not going to glue them right now. I'm just going to show you how everything is. Kind of show you the end result. And I'll glue everything off camera. There's not really a point to show you guys how to super glue things. Obviously, I'll still need to swap around the arms, but now I've got that torso over there. And I gotta switch the heads around, which I'll get to that. I don't think you guys necessarily need to see me swap the heads around. All right, so that's kind of what things are gonna look like. I swapped around the torsos, and see, for me, I've been doing it quite a while, so I did it relatively quick, relatively simple, but really it's just something you gotta practice. And you can't be afraid to mess up, because you'll probably mess up, not the end of the world. Don't go out and buy a bunch of elites trying to crack the torsos. Try and find, like I get big lots of figures, or get some old figures and just kind of practice on those. And it's kind of some trial and error stuff, really. I don't think there's really a magic way to just do everything. You just kind of got to try it out and see how it goes. But that is my first Work in Progress Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about customs, anything like that, anything you want to see, feel free to reach out, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, you know the deal. That is all for today, though. Figure Dude out.